What is the most cruel and inventive revenge for cheating on your spouse that you can remember? There are people who prefer to just get divorced without taking decisive action, but there are also those who are ready to eat the earth just to take revenge on their abuser. I took revenge on my unfaithful wife. But besides, I was well paid for it, so I tried my best. A few months back, my wife Connie had an idea. Sonny, some of the women in our political support group think we should volunteer for Senator Stickler's re-election campaign. We? Who's we? You and me. Oh, really? What does it entail? Are others joining in? I don't think many others are interested. It seems like it'd be as much time as we're willing to give until the election. We'd travel around the state, assisting with fundraising events. I suppose we'd pitch in wherever needed. What about my job? You've got, 20-some weeks of unused vacation? Take a few months off. I think it'd be exciting. I had to give her credit. This was completely uncharacteristic for us. After 22 years of marriage and both kids off to college, experiencing an empty nest was a whole new ballgame. Spontaneity had never been our strong suit, but there was something undeniably enticing about it. Let's gather some additional details. If we're hitting the road, who covers expenses? Logistics like that. Will we be responsible for our own meals? Any uniform requirements? Just gather as much intel as you can. The information we received wasn't a deal breaker. It was a bit pricier than I had hoped, but within our budget. Senator Stickler's name had been floated as a potential presidential candidate in 8 or 12 years. Who knows? Perhaps we might even get the opportunity to work on a presidential campaign ourselves. I began working at my job 2 years before Connie and I tied the knot. Vanessa Bromley, who started on the same day as me, was among the other hires. Back then, she went by a different name as she wasn't married yet. However, she's since divorced and now goes by Bromley. Despite starting off on equal footing, our paths diverged when she went on maternity leave. Following her absence, I found myself receiving promotions and being assigned high-profile projects. For the past 4 years, Vanessa has been reporting to me. She's an incredibly dedicated employee. Although there has never been any inappropriate behavior when Vanessa and I are alone, she jokingly refers to me as her next ex. She's made it clear that if I ever found myself single again, she wouldn't hesitate to pursue a relationship. Our employer lacks a policy against workplace relationships, as they aim to avoid legal issues they can't fully regulate. Nonetheless, some individuals have been let go for allowing personal relationships to affect their loyalty to the company. Connie harbors some doubts about Vanessa's trustworthiness. You know the saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That's Connie's approach. We've invited Vanessa to numerous block parties, mainly for Connie to observe our interactions closely. Since there haven't been any incidents, it's been easy to behave naturally. My job doesn't involve any travel. Connie used to work as a temporary employee until she got pregnant. Since then, she's been a full-time stay-at-home mom. When the kids were in school, she volunteered there. Recently, she tried going back to temporary work, but she lacks the necessary qualifications for today's job market. So now she and her friends volunteer for various causes. I've never once suspected Connie of having a physical or emotional affair. We completed the required paperwork and successfully passed the background checks. Although he wasn't enthusiastic, my boss approved my time off. Vanessa was appointed as my temporary replacement. Future ex, I'm stepping into your shoes for the next 10 weeks. Just make sure not to terminate my top employees. I'm a bit more resilient than the previous guy. You might find it hard to readjust when you return. Look at you. If you find yourself overwhelmed, don't hesitate to reach out. It's okay if I'm the only one who knows you're struggling. Ha 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 ha. I might just do that if things start to get strange. I anticipate some of the guys testing my limits. They'll be skating on thin ice if they do. I'm here to support you, Vanessa. Gotta run. Catch up with you soon. Thanks, future ex. Talk to you later. With minimal ceremony, Connie and I embarked on our first day as campaign volunteers. Among a plethora of college-aged individuals, we were one of 3 older couples. On Wednesday, prior to the fundraising event that evening, we were introduced to the senator. Having seen him on television for the past 12 years or so, meeting him in person didn't excite me much. However, Connie was behaving like a teenage fan at a boy band concert. Henrik Stickler exuded confidence, seemingly considering himself a charmer with the ladies. His demeanor towards male volunteers was noticeably dismissive, while he treated women with affection, embracing them with kisses on the forehead and hugs, and touching their arms, back, neck, and cheeks. Standing shorter than most at around 5'8", and weighing over 200 pounds, he lacked physical fitness and would easily become short of breath. Connie, be cautious around Henrik. I'm uncomfortable with how he behaves so intimately with the women. Oh, come on, Sonny. He's just a very sociable person. Relax. Our days were occupied with tasks like making phone calls, posters, copies, and coffee, and running errands. These activities didn't demand top academic performance. We used various adhesives for our displays, resorting to super glue for heavier items like trophies on poster boards. Handling super glue required caution, as it could easily bond skin together. I once experienced this, spending 3 days trying to separate my glued fingers, even resorting to internet remedies, which resulted in losing several layers of skin upon separation. The affected fingers still struggle to heal and can be quite painful, as the glue inhibits skin breathing, causing skin damage. Every couple of days, I found myself revisiting the office supply store to restock on super glue, duct tape, paper adhesive, poster boards, and staples. With the various types of glue and other supplies, the campaign expenses were reaching into the thousands. Considering the short lifespan of many of these items, often only lasting a couple of hours during fundraising events, the amount of waste was astonishing. Connie's apparent addiction to smoothie drinks meant I was making 2 or 3 trips a day to satisfy her cravings. What initially sounded like a fun endeavor for a few months was becoming a mindless waste of time. I'm no more inclined to support Stickler than his opponent. Henrik seemed to be delivering the same speech every chance he got. I have a plan. I'll stick to it, and I'll stick it to Washington. The problem is he's been in office for 2, and all he's done is line his pockets. I doubt he's ever proposed any meaningful legislation. Voting strictly along party lines seems to be his only approach. If his opponent didn't seem equally corrupt, I'd abandon this experiment altogether. Our domestic situation was deteriorating. Due to the long hours and commuting time, our sexual intimacy had practically vanished. Meanwhile, Connie continued to post pictures on her Facebook page from every fundraising event. Repeatedly, the captions read, "Here I am with Senator Stickler." In each photo, his hands were visibly present on her in some way. At the very least, she seemed infatuated. Despite my attempts to rekindle our intimacy, they were thwarted when I expressed concerns about Connie's interactions with Henrik. "Connie, what's come over you? You seem to hang on every word," Henrik says, like a devoted puppy following him around. "Should I be concerned about the 2 of you? I can't believe you. What? Are you feeling threatened by a successful man? Is that what this is about? I admire him. He's wealthy, influential, and prestigious. But let's not forget, he's also married." With that, she stormed off and slammed the bedroom door. If Connie were to quit this campaign, I'd consider doing the same. But suggesting it only led to another heated argument. I can't wait for this election to be over. Stickler may be ahead in the polls, but not by a significant margin. It's still uncertain. With just 2 weeks left, we need everyone on board. We were 3 hours away from home preparing for tonight's fundraising dinner. Henrik had just entered the ballroom and was engaged in networking. I held a stack of brochures to distribute later. Having just returned from picking them up, I hadn't yet seen Connie. "Are you Sonny Tennessee's?" I turned to see a man holding a manila folder. "That's me. How can I assist you?" "My name isn't important. You can call me James. I work as an investigator for some individuals interested in Senator Stickler losing the election. I have evidence that might persuade you to join our cause." Feeling uncertain, I glanced around, seeing no one paying us any attention. James persisted. "Come with me." As we walked toward the hotel lobby, my world began to unravel. "Sonny, your wife and Henrik are having an affair. Over the past 4 weeks, she's visited his suite 9 times just before fundraising dinners. The pictures in this folder document her arrivals and departures on those occasions. I also have photos from this afternoon's encounter on my phone. He left first, while she stayed to shower. She exited his suite about 10 minutes ago." James displayed the pictures from today. My stomach churned and I felt on the verge of hyperventilating. "You might want to sit down before you browse through the photos in the folder. We'd managed to capture their personal meetings twice. I couldn't go through with it. My marriage is over, but I couldn't bear the thought of those images lingering forever. How can I be certain these scenes aren't orchestrated?" "I suppose you can't be certain. He's rather deviant and enjoys leaving marks on his partners. If you doubt me, take a look tonight. See if it resonates with you." Henrik slips a room key card to her, which she tucks into her sweater pocket. Then she seeks you out, assigning you a task that takes you away from the premises. When you return, she's freshly intimate, and you're none the wiser. If you pay close attention, you might realize that whatever you were sent to retrieve was available since noon, yet you were instructed to fetch it after 4 p.m. About 90 minutes before each fundraising dinner, I'm dispatched to collect documents or make purchases. Today was no exception. Despicable. The receipt for the brochures I collected today indicates they were ready this morning. Well, you've piqued my interest. Why enlist me? Among the many women Henrik is involved with, we believe you're not one to passively accept this. We're uncertain about the others. You've assessed me accurately. I won't go down without a fight." James expressed a desire to witness the loud and obvious breakdown of the marriage. He offered me $10,000 for the moral damage it would cause me. He showed me an envelope, presumably with cash. I sighed in disappointment. Opening the folder of pictures, he showed shocking scenes. She gave up a 22-year marriage for this jerk. Taking the envelope with the money, I muttered, "Not today, but chaos will begin very soon. You can count on it." Inside is also the business card of one of our lawyers, who is ready to represent you on a voluntary basis. James added with a smile and left. I hid the envelopes in the trunk of my car, making sure that there really were $10,000. The lawyer's ID was in my wallet. I lost interest in supporting the campaign, so I didn't go into the ballroom until after the event. Why did this happen? I felt sick. How could I mean so little to her? Happily ever after was not part of my plans. Seething with anger, I retrieved the attorney's business card and dialed his office. "Grant," the attorney answered, and our conversation proved to be highly productive. He was responsible for drafting the divorce petition, and his unexpected advice caught me off guard. "Sonny, if your retaliation involves the police, keep silent. Immediately involve me," Grant cautioned. "Thank you for the guidance, Grant. I haven't made up my mind yet, but violence isn't my style," I replied. "He's a formidable adversary, and once provoked, who knows how low he'll stoop," Grant warned. For the next 2 hours, I racked my brain for revenge schemes. Countless ideas swirled, but executing any of them seemed impossible. I resolved not to serve Connie until I exacted my retribution. "Where have you been all this time? Don't you ever pick up your phone anymore? I was incredibly worried that something terrible had happened to you. I wasn't feeling well. I think I misplaced my phone. Are you ready to leave? We still need to help with the cleanup." "I'm leaving. Are you coming with me or getting your own ride?" "Just go. I'll catch up with you later." On the way, the workers were accommodated in budget motels. Feeling crushed, I drove the 3 miles to my room, allowing me time to stew in my anger. I had warned her, so she deserved whatever consequences were coming her way. I craved revenge not only on Connie but also on her despicable lover. Hopefully, I could sabotage his chances for the election. The more suffering I could cause, the better. Connie returned to the motel more than 2 hours later, clearly intoxicated. At that point, I no longer cared. In the morning, I got ready before everyone else. We were going home for a couple of days before the next fundraising dinner. Connie was still sleeping in her nightgown and underwear. I pulled back the blanket to look for traces on her body. She suddenly woke up. "What the hell are you doing? After the way you behaved yesterday, you won't get anything like this." I didn't want to be intimate with her. I just wanted to check for bite marks. My heart sank when I saw several of them. It was all over. "I'm going home in 15 minutes with or without you." Connie missed the shower and complained incessantly throughout the 3-hour drive home. I really got on her nerves. It's funny that you think I'm paying attention to this. I've never heard such a barrage of profanity. Anyway, the problem here is me. If I thought I could get away with it, I'd open her door and throw her out at 70 miles an hour. When I returned home, I found that our dog, Sausage, had become unusually sluggish, which prompted me to urgently take her to the vet. Anything to ease the tension that had arisen between us at that moment. While waiting in the examination room, I noticed a bottle of chloroform on the table, and out of nowhere, it would seem I had a sinister idea to take revenge. I took the bottle unnoticed. After the Sausage was injected with an antibiotic, I returned home, resigned to the loss of some cash. Despite the enormous difficulties, I tried to maintain the appearance of a normal life. After enduring 48 hours of silence and eating alone, I managed to sneak away for an STD test, unable to remember our last close bed meeting. Given her tendency to promiscuous relationships, I didn't want to have health problems because of her. The journey to my final fundraiser, spanning 4 hours, was marked by a chilly silence, with scarcely a word exchanged except for occasional requests to stop for restroom breaks. At times, I entertained the idea of pulling over and suggesting a soil percolation test instead. The tranquility of the silence far surpassed the alternative of enduring her complaints about how I failed to appreciate Stickler's statesmanship. Each time I contemplated my plan, a smile crept onto my face. "Could you try to be more positive? Your recent attitude has been dreadful." "Understood. I believe Henrik is doing a fine job ruining this campaign without any assistance from me. It won't be long before one of his admirers publicly indulges him." "Goodness, you're so petty. He's a true gentleman and a competent leader. Your envy is transparent." At approximately 3 p.m., I handed Connie the smoothie she had requested earlier. This particular one was generously laced with a laxative, ensuring some digestive activity in the hours to come. Now the anticipation begins. Observing Henrik around 4 p.m., he handed Connie a hotel room keycard. Just as the investigator had indicated, she retraced her steps to where our coats hung. Like clockwork, she slipped the keycard into her sweater pocket. Connie then made her way toward me, and to my surprise, I was tasked with fetching brochures from a store roughly a mile away. Waiting for the right moment, I discreetly retrieved the keycard from her sweater while she was preoccupied. The room number, 321, was inscribed in ink on the plastic card. With my bag of essentials in tow, I made my way to the men's room to change my appearance significantly. The foot traffic was steady, allowing me to seamlessly blend in with my altered identity. Concealing my bag of essentials under my loose-fitting shirt, I stationed myself near the third-floor stairwell door, pretending to engage in a phone call. After 10 minutes, the target entered the room. Shortly thereafter, the woman hastily exited the elevator, frantically searching her sweater for the key. She knocked on the door several times before Henrik answered, forcefully pulling her into the room. I gave them a minute to start the party before casually heading to their door. After stopping for a while, I heard my wife's happy screams. It was terrible for my ears. Putting on protective gloves, I inserted the keycard into the slot. When the light turned green on the door, I entered the room noiselessly. It was a suite, and from my vantage point, I could watch the scene unfolding in the bedroom. It wasn't my wife. She was nothing more than a toy for him. How could she sacrifice 22 years of marriage for this? I didn't know, and to be honest, I didn't care. The job is done. I approached her lover from behind to send him to sleep for a while. While I was doing this, he managed to hit me in the ribs, but I still managed to overcome him. Connie, I didn't pay attention to the noise. No, don't stop. More. Henrik collapsed to the floor, and I repeated this maneuver with Connie. She lay down on the bed, immersed in sleep. Moving people who are unconscious is not as easy as I expected. Obviously, I need to start training. First of all, I put her lover on the bed. I pushed Connie to the edge of the bed, and she accidentally fell. Oops. After they settled down on the bed, I got down to the main thing. After opening a large bottle of super glue, I started making art. I thought, if my wife likes him so much, then why don't I glue them together? It will only be a plus for them. It was a very long process, but in the end, my wife ended up on top of her lover, and her fifth point was a few centimeters from Henrik's face. It looked epic. But the coolest thing was that they wouldn't be able to move when they woke up. I decided to attach a bumper sticker with the words "Vote for me" to Connie's hair, and it looked so good that I attached the same sticker to Henrik's hairstyle. Looking at this sight, I couldn't help but think, Dan, why? What have I done to deserve this? Taking a step back, I admired the work of my hands. When I had almost half a bottle of glue left, I used some more glue to strengthen their bond. While I was gathering their clothes in a hotel laundry bag, I stumbled upon Connie's cell phone. Carefully slipping it beneath Henrik, along with the contents of his pockets, I hastened my pace upon hearing faint groans from the bed. I swiftly unlocked the deadbolt to prevent the door from closing, then left the room with a tear, making my way to the loading dock. Across from the dock were the dumpsters belonging to the nearby pizza place, with a garbage truck approaching. I swiftly disposed of the clothes and my supplies into the dumpster just before it was emptied. Witnessing the garbage truck carry away the incriminating evidence was an unexpected relief. On my way back to the men's room, I encountered a pack of reporters and cameramen. There is a politician in a compromising form in room 321. The doors open. A frenzy ensued, with most choosing to dash up the stairs. After returning to the men's room, I shed the covered attire I had worn. Exiting, I left the clothes near a group of homeless individuals, which were promptly claimed. My alibi would be that I discovered them abandoned in the bathroom, with the intention of helping those less fortunate. I texted Connie to inquire about her whereabouts. Shortly after, I dialed her number with the intention of leaving a voicemail. A man answered, saying, "Hello." I asked, "Is Connie there?" He responded, "Connie who?" I replied, "Connie Tennessee's." He asked me to hold on, and I could hear him calling out, "Anybody know a Connie Tennessee's?" Then someone began screaming, "No-oh." The man returned to the phone and asked, "Who's asking?" I identified myself, saying, "I'm Sonny Tennessee's, her husband." He inquired, "Where are you calling from, Sonny?" I explained, "Connie and I are campaign workers. I'm by the ballroom." He instructed, "Get your butt into room 321, quickly." The phone abruptly lost connection. I ascended the stairs quickly to the third floor. A slight commotion caught my attention near room 321. Upon entering, I found a gathering of at least 12 individuals, capturing images and videos. Some were engaged in phone calls, spreading the news. The press secretary and campaign manager for Stickler were visible on the balcony, attempting to gain access through the locked sliding glass door. It seemed someone had deliberately kept them out. My suspicion was that they intended to disperse the gathering, but were met with resistance. I proceeded towards the figure lying on the bed. "Excuse me, woman of questionable morals, is that you over there? What are those marks on your body?" I apologized. "Dear, we can resolve this." Henrik is responsible for those marks after our encounter. It seems like you've been involved with him for a while. Can we really work through this? I doubt it. Here's the deal. I'll step out for a moment. And if you're willing to salvage our marriage, you'll join me there. Honey, I'm immobilized. And you should be aware that we're finished. After you betrayed me. Henrik retorted, "Get lost, cook." I withdrew every time. The urge to permanently remove him from society was intense. Connie assisted me in earning $10,000. The reporters were engrossed in it. I started answering questions about myself and Connie. Connie screamed, "I need to go to the bathroom now." No one moved or spoke until a sudden sound resembling a small waterfall rang out. Henrik started choking. Then he felt sick and started choking. The liquid splashed in all directions. As soon as she finished, several reporters started helping Henrik to keep him from drowning. What the hell? I couldn't help myself. Stop pulling. It hurts. A few scattered laughs filled the room. Most of the cameramen took close-ups. The smell was nauseating. 2 policemen entered, and after a few minutes, we were quickly let out into the corridor. I continued to answer questions until the hotel security escorted us down to the ground floor. The crowd became restless. Since the tickets cost $1,000 each, Henrik had to blend in with the crowd. His wife's limousine pulled up to the sidewalk, accompanied by an unusual number of television vans for this event. Most of the 200 expected guests had already arrived, which increased the anticipation. When the ambulance arrived, reporters surrounded her, harassing the police and hotel staff. As the stretcher covered with a sheet approached, the reporters caught every sound. A male voice murmured, "Damn it, she wanted to go to the toilet again." After which she coughed and vomited. A female voice objected, "Fuck you. I can't help myself. It's a natural process." Mrs. Stickler had to defend herself from insults when someone handed her a folder with photos. She looked at a few, gasped, and dropped them. Chaos ensued when reporters pounced on the photos, fueling gossip. An announcement came over the crackling loudspeaker. "Ladies and gentlemen, Henrik Stickler will not be able to join us tonight due to hospitalization. We appreciate your understanding and support. Dinner will be served now." These individuals relished showing off, so Henrik's absence didn't faze them. Done with my work, I drove back to my motel. As I lay on the bed pondering why I was discarded so easily, tears welled up. The reality of my failed marriage hit me hard. What I believed to be a strong union was merely an illusion. About 30 minutes later, my phone rang. Seeing it was the hospital, I put on a brave face. "Hello. Is Mr. Sonny Tennessees available?" "This is him." "Mr. Tennessees, your wife has been admitted to University Hospital. Are you familiar with our location?" "Yes, I am." "Why does that matter?" "Don't you want to visit her?" "That unfaithful woman." "Can I request to withdraw life support?" "Sir, she's not on life support. We need you to confirm her identity and provide her insurance details." My $10,000 incentive kicked in. "Fine. I'll be there shortly." At the hospital entrance, numerous news crews hovered, denied entry by management. Amidst the chaos, someone spotted me. Mr. Tennessees, can we get a statement?" I raised my hand, signaling a pause. In a moment, approaching the reception desk, I introduced myself. "I'm here to see Connie Tennessees. I'm her husband." "I'm sorry, sir. No visitors allowed presently. I need to copy her insurance cards," the receptionist replied. "Lady, you could be anyone claiming to be my wife. Take your pen and shove it." Her expression froze as I turned to leave. "Mr. Tennessees, what's happening?" "The hospital says they have my wife but won't let me see her." A news crew activated their spotlights, preparing for a live broadcast. "We're going live. Could you repeat that, Mr. Tennessees?" "I said the hospital has my wife but won't allow me to see her. When I identified myself, they claimed no visitors were allowed. Seems being a senator gives you the power to block access even to the unfaithful wife, I just discovered. I created the image of Senator Stickler. Have you seen this photo of Senator Stickler? A deviant with a miniature appendage bites the bodies of his conquests after he enters into a bed relationship with them. If your wife or girlfriend was involved in his campaign, it would be wise to examine her body. At that moment, the hospital security interrupted the conversation and escorted me into the room. The man in the suit motioned for me to come over. Mr. Tennessee's, our secretary made a mistake by denying you access to your wife. However, I must warn you that this situation may be extremely unpleasant for you. How so? Well, she and the senator are literally connected to each other. Both are without clothes. Yes, I'm aware of that. I've witnessed this before. Have you managed to separate them yet? No. It may take a few days if they don't agree to the surgery. It would be more appropriate to raise their body temperature and put them in a steam room. I advocate separating them in the most painful way possible. The man in the suit nodded in agreement. If it were my wife, I would take that approach too. When the administrator escorted me to her room, an armed guard kept a watchful eye on me. Inside, 2 nurses were indiscriminately applying gel. Henrik was sitting with his back to me, and Connie was looking between his legs. The press secretary and the head of the company were also present. Why are they here? They don't look like family members. It looks like a couple came to see the spectacle. The receptionist motioned for them to leave, and despite the persuasions of the armed guard, they obeyed. It's nice to see you again, my beloved wife. Judging by the marks on your body, you've been his toy many times. Darling, you are welcome. I'll fix it. I love you more than anything in the world, Connie. Was it worth it? A few fleeting meetings with this inadequate jerk in exchange for 22 years of marriage. The numbers don't add up for me. I'm leaving and filing for divorce. No, don't leave me. I need you. I pointed at the man in the suit. That's her. I will provide my insurance details at the front desk. After settling everything with the admissions officer, I returned to talk to reporters. There were his friends in the senator's room. I guess I'm not used to Washington-style gatherings. Let's hope that the wives of the press secretary and the campaign manager are lenient. The man in the suit followed me and quickly intervened. They shouldn't have been allowed in there. Nothing untoward happened. As the interview continued, he was interrupted by a police officer. Sonny Tennessee's, you have the right to remain silent. The fact that I decided not to answer any questions only made them angry. I made my only call to Grant. He advised me to respond with silence, which I managed to do successfully. 10 minutes after he arrived, I was on my way to my motel room. I packed our things and checked out. I called Grant and asked him to start the divorce procedure. He assured me that his processing server would wait until Connie found a place on her own. During my 4-hour drive, Vanessa called, disrupting my thoughts. Hey, old flame. Just caught your brief moment of fame on the news. Want to chat? Yeah, I could use the distraction. Otherwise, I might drift off the road with my thoughts. How's work? Fantastic. We've been brainstorming how to break the news to you gently. Chuckling. You're kidding, right? By the way, did you see the clip of her embarrassing him? Oh yeah. They keep replaying it. It's pretty amusing. They've managed to keep it PG-rated despite the suggestive content. Her joke about the transplant is classic. They've played that too many times. How do I bounce back from this? You don't. You whisk me away, and we live happily ever after. I'll do my best to drag you along. That sounds incredibly tempting. It needs to be more than just tempting. When are you getting back in town? Probably after midnight. Well, there's a 2 a.m. flight to Vegas. I'll meet you at the airport. I hesitated for a moment. See you there. Yes. You're going to love the next few days. We talked for an hour until she had to pack and head to the airport. I could handle my calls just as easily from Vegas. Any paperwork could wait a few days. While waiting for Vanessa at the airport, I found the infamous picture online and posted it on Connie's Facebook page with the caption, Here I am with Senator Stickler. I've never seen Vanessa dress so provocatively before. She usually keeps herself professional at work, but now her outfit leaves no room for imagination. Since you're looking at me like that, I assume you approve of it. Yes, there is potential in this. You're wearing a beautiful thin skirt. I'm not used to the wind blowing so hard on my cheeks. I'll do my best to keep you warm. You're feeling better. I'll try my best too. You should see the senator's picture. Here, take a look. Can you believe how small his instrument is? Cute is one word. If he had kept them facing the wall, no one would have known. But back to your situation. Patience, my dear. Did you manage to find us a place to stay for the night? You underestimate me. I arranged an Uber ride and VIP check-in at the hotel. Start the countdown. Your new love life will begin in less than 3 hours. After we checked into the hotel, the next 36 hours of my life passed like a fairy tale. I've lost count of how many times I've had fun with her. I didn't even notice how we had already boarded the return flight. It was amazing. We said our goodbyes at the airport, making plans to meet up for dinner later. Throughout my absence, I hadn't turned on my phone at all. Upon finally checking it, I found numerous missed calls and texts from my 2 worried children. It was late, but I made sure to call them back promptly. They had every right to be upset with me for being out of touch. After addressing their concerns, I informed them of what I knew about their mother's infidelity and current situation. Additionally, many of our friends had reached out with messages aimed at lifting my spirits and offering support. One peculiar call came from a woman claiming to be a campaign worker. Initially, I thought it might have been one of the students. I returned her call the next morning. Hello. Hi, this is Sunny Tennessee's. You left me a message. Thank you for getting back to me. I have an issue and was hoping you could provide some guidance. Sure, go ahead. I'm not sure if I can assist, but I'll do my best. My boyfriend and I have been working alongside you and Connie. I've noticed he has bite marks on his buttocks. I want to expose the senator. Can you help me? Stickler passionately expresses his views on religious morality, showing little tolerance for alternative lifestyles. This could be his downfall. I handed over the business card I had for the lawyer. Give this number a call and ask for James. Drop a hint to James that some financial assistance would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Sonny. The press conference and its immediate aftermath were thrilling to witness. Stickler's 2-point lead in the polls had now turned into a 5-point deficit just a week before the elections. His opponent's latest advertisements were merciless. Someone wants to challenge Washington, but with his feeble efforts, Washington might not even notice. On Monday evening, the hospital called. Dear, I'm in my room now. Can you come in and talk to me? I don't want a divorce. What should I say? Should I bring the children? I have no intention of making peace. I'm sorry, Connie. I have a dinner date with my fiancé. Get well soon. I will inform the children about you. What did you just say? We're still married. I said I would inform the children about you. Maybe we'll talk later. Honey, don't you dare hang up on me. When I hit the end button, I called my future wife. Vanessa picked up the phone. How is my future fiancé doing today? Would you like to have a drink together at night? Of course, come in. I went in to tell her the important news, but she decided to ask me first before I could speak. What happened today? I quit. I hope you get my job on a permanent basis. What did you do? Why? I can't treat you like a subordinate. I need a break. In addition, it will allow us to understand whether we are really made for each other. In the morning, when Vanessa left for work, I felt vulnerable, smiling outwardly but raw inside. I had recently signed up for a new phone and was updating the kids about what was happening. The remaining fundraising dinners had been canceled, and we hadn't heard from Senator Stickler since the fiasco on Friday night. Despite the incredible intimacy we shared, Vanessa and I both knew that we needed to slow things down if we wanted this relationship to work. We were fooling ourselves. Neither of us could bear to go more than a day without seeing each other. Who cares if it doesn't last? Our connection felt like a wildfire burning beyond control. Both children visited their mother at the hospital, where medical intervention required Henrik's anus and genital area to be incised for tube insertion. Connie informed them that her nipples were too sensitive to be exposed to air or water, which somewhat pleased me. As I inferred, Henrik must be experiencing even greater discomfort given the extensive application of adhesive to his private parts. Upon Connie's return home from the hospital, she discovered that I had already relocated my belongings to Vanessa's residence. It didn't take long for Connie to realize my whereabouts, as our children informed me of her frantic attempts to reach me. After Connie was released, my children convinced me to listen to her. I reluctantly went to her house, guided solely by the interests of my children. I rang the doorbell. "Darling, this is your home. You can come in," she said. "I don't want to come in. If you want to talk to me, you'll have to join me on the porch." Everything wasn't going according to Connie's plan. A pleasant aroma wafted from the kitchen. I was determined not to fall into the trap of reconciliation. She had a scarf on her head, a healing cream on her cheeks, and a bathrobe from her clothes. I silently wished her discomfort even though it couldn't compare to the pain in my heart. "Honey, please, I promise to behave myself," she pleaded. "I'm giving you 10 seconds to come out here, or I'm leaving." Connie tried to hug and kiss me, but I pushed her away when I saw the suffering in her eyes. We were sitting on the porch steps a few feet apart. "I don't want a divorce, honey. It will take time, but we will be able to solve it. We've been together for 25 years, including our courtship," she said. "So what? You didn't hesitate to give it all up. And for what? Tell me. For what?" Tears were streaming down her face, and she was struggling to speak. I cannot find the words to adequately convey my deep remorse. I got carried away in the moment, but I realize now that's no excuse. What I did was unforgivable, and I'm pleading with you for another chance. "That's not going to happen, Connie. Everyone I know now knows that you were involved with Stickler. They understand that I meant nothing to you. I won't subject myself to their sympathy or mockery. I plan to be with Vanessa, possibly even marry her. Just so you're aware, we've been intimate constantly since you got involved with Stickler. It's the first time I've strayed from my marriage vows. I suspect you and Stickler have been having an affair for years. Now the kids see me as the villain. We could have resolved this. You can believe whatever you want, Connie. Our relationship meant nothing to you. I don't feel any guilt. I was the one cast aside, not you. I'll take you to court. This is unjust. Let Vanessa know I despise her. Vanessa couldn't care less about your opinion. She's found the man of her dreams now. I'm starting to enjoy feeling valued. I may not be wealthy or influential, but I have someone who loves me. Let our lawyers handle this. I'll see you in court." Stickler lost the election, and soon after, his wife initiated divorce proceedings, during which Connie was named and called to testify. Connie became a laughingstock in the eyes of society and had to move into an apartment. We decided to sell the house and split the proceeds. All her Facebook photos have been deleted, leaving only my close-up shots with Connie. The police were suspicious of me. Before testifying in court, I was strictly ordered to remain silent. The only real evidence against me was that I was in the men's room, out of sight, during the attack. I could prove in court that because I was not satisfied at home, I began to engage in self-satisfaction, hence the prolonged stay in the men's room. Connie kept her promise and delayed the divorce for a year. I endured 12 weeks of counseling, which I couldn't stand. The memories of those last 2 months only increased the pain of the whole ordeal. It was painful to see the woman I had loved for 25 years going through a mental breakdown. Sometimes, the hole we're digging gets too deep to get out of. I never let Connie know that I would change my mind and reconcile. She was my first wife, and I was her first husband. Even after all these consultations, I still can't understand how little our relationship meant to her until it was too late. Vanessa and I lived together for a year before my divorce was finalized. That evening, We went to Las Vegas and returned as a married couple. Vanessa thrived in my previous job. I secured a position as a project manager with one of the companies served by my former employer. No arrests were ever made in the assault on the former senator. An unmarked envelope arrived about 2 years after the election containing an erectile dysfunction report for a person named H. Stickler. Unfortunately, it seems he has been unable to engage in sexual activity since the attack. The pain in his genitals immediately dampens any arousal he experiences. The prognosis was grim. Various potential solutions had been attempted, but none had succeeded. The report recommended giving it time to see if there was any improvement on its own. I find it amusing whenever I recall that report. Vanessa and I recently celebrated our 10th anniversary. Connie is on to her 4th husband. We still see her at significant family occasions, such as weddings and the birth of grandchildren. The only consistent thing is her refrain. We could have worked it out. No, we couldn't. Thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.